Most people think tulips were just pretty flowers, symbols of beauty and wealth. But in 1637, a single flower became the center of Europe's first speculative financial bubble. A mania so intense it shook entire economies, ruined fortunes, and reshaped trust in markets forever. The story begins in the Dutch Republic, a booming trade hub of the 17th century. Amsterdam, with its canals and merchant houses, was alive with commerce. The Netherlands had become the richest corner of Europe, thanks to its spice trade, shipping fleets, and global commerce. Yet beneath this prosperity lay stark inequality. Wealthy merchants flaunted their riches while laborers scraped by, and speculation had begun to infiltrate every layer of society. Into this world of abundance and ambition arrived the tulip, a flower imported from the Ottoman Empire, rare, exotic, and strikingly colorful. Its petals, unlike anything European eyes had seen, became a status symbol, coveted by nobles, merchants, and commoners alike. Soon, tulips were traded like gold, with prices rising daily, not for their beauty, but for the promise of profit. Merchants drew maps of trading routes. Contracts for future tulip bulbs were signed, bought, and resold. Tulip bulbs, once simply bulbs, transformed into financial instruments, their value tied not to intrinsic worth, but to human belief and expectation. In taverns and markets, deals were made with elaborate paper contracts, often for bulbs that hadn't even been planted yet. It was money as psychology, a dance of trust and greed, centuries before digital markets or cryptocurrencies. Amid the frenzy, a few individuals stood out: traders, merchants, and speculators who understood the mechanics of the market better than most. One such figure was Jan van der Heyden, a prominent merchant who leveraged contracts to multiply his wealth, navigating the maze of speculation with careful strategy. He was brilliant, yet restless. Even as fortunes were made, he sensed the fragility of the system, a tension between ambition and impending collapse. The central question of tulip mania emerges here. Can human belief alone create value? Tulip prices soared not because the bulbs were inherently precious, but because everyone trusted that others would pay more tomorrow. This was an early, raw form of financial psychology, centuries ahead of formal economic theory. Money became less about gold and more about perception, about trust, credit, and expectation. The key insight of the era was the danger of dead money. Traders who hoarded bulbs or cash, waiting to time the market perfectly, found themselves crushed when liquidity vanished. Markets are living systems, dependent on circulation. When tulip contracts piled up without buyers, the bubble burst, demonstrating the destructive power of speculation detached from real value. Ethics of trade were starkly visible. Agreements and contracts could be enforced, but moral hazard lurked everywhere. Many lost their life savings as greed outpaced judgment. Labor and value were sharply contrasted. The ordinary gardener who planted tulips for sustenance earned modest returns, while speculators manipulating contracts could see astronomical, fleeting profits. Even state intervention proved limited. Amsterdam authorities tried to stabilize prices with legal frameworks, yet enforcement could not override human psychology. Currency and contracts were only as strong as trust, and once belief collapsed, the entire financial ecosystem trembled. This period also foreshadowed modern bubbles, stock market crashes, real estate booms, crypto hype. Tulip mania remains a cautionary tale. Wealth without responsibility, speculation without grounding, and trust without substance will inevitably lead to collapse. When the bubble finally burst in 1637, the consequences rippled across Dutch society. From wealthy merchants to middle-class traders, fortunes evaporated overnight. Markets froze, contracts became worthless, and trust, the invisible backbone of finance, collapsed. The chain reaction was clear. Top-tier speculators lost confidence, which spread to markets, which destroyed individual livelihoods. Tulip mania had transformed from a symbol of beauty into a lesson in human behavior and economic fragility. Fear and greed drove the mania. Hoarding, over-leveraging, and blind speculation pushed the system to its limits. People acted on rumors, chasing ever-increasing prices, unaware that psychology, not intrinsic value, govern the market. The same patterns repeat today in stock bubbles, cryptomanias, and housing booms. A vivid reminder that human nature is the timeless engine of financial cycles. Incentives matter profoundly. Short-term gain encouraged risky behavior, while long-term responsibility was often ignored. Those who understood real value, artisans, gardeners, and conservative merchants, survived, while those seduced by hype-faced rule. Tulip mania demonstrated that wealth without responsibility destroys society, and societies rise on contribution, but fall on extraction. Currency, contracts, and assets only retain meaning when belief is maintained. Once confidence disappeared, even legally binding agreements could not preserve value. This fundamental principle echoes through history. From Weimar Germany to Zimbabwe, from Argentina to Venezuela, money collapses when trust collapses. Modern parallels are striking. Today's speculative markets, flashy investments, and instant wealth fantasies are echoes of 1637. Inequality, institutional distrust, bubbles, and rapid losses continue to shape economies. Tulip mania teaches that true financial power lies not in hoarding wealth, but in ethical circulation, informed risk, and responsible stewardship. The final diagnostic is simple yet profound. Humans must respect the psychology of money, the ethics of trade, and the responsibilities of wealth. Without trust, morality, and foresight, markets, ancient or modern, will collapse. Tulip mania reminds us that money, at its core, is a story of belief, not just a medium of exchange. As we navigate modern financial systems, the lesson is timeless. Understand the power of trust, act responsibly with wealth, and never underestimate the human forces that drive markets. This is The Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide.